Going on, crypto enthusiasts? Happy Wednesday. Hopefully you guys are having a phenomenal week. And I know, I get it, not much price action has occurred since Sunday, really, or even Monday for that matter. But nevertheless, that sets up for a move to occur. I do want to take us through the weekly first before we dive into the lower timeframes, some ideas that we've been poking around at. Essentially, just keeping it real simple for you guys. Right now, what we see here on a weekly from a TD9 sequential count perspective, you see this one right over here. Well, that's letting us know that the bearish setup phase, which essentially means that we're going to have higher highs, has flipped from where it was previously, where it was showing 6s and 5s here in these areas. So really for this setup change to go back into a bullish setup phase, which would ultimately mean that we have lower lows, we do have to close underneath this 2800.73, this area right over here, right? So the weekly would have to close underneath, not a wick. And so that kind of alludes to the fact that we could potentially see some wicks come down into those levels. We do have some fib levels that actually sit inside of that zone right around about 2804 from a wave count perspective. So it wouldn't be outside of the norm. It would not surprise me. And ultimately, it's something that we should just be prepared for, but just on a weekly, because there's better data on the higher time frames. The weekly is showing us signs that the setup phase is changing, which ultimately is going to be pointing towards higher highs. We can see that we're bouncing off of a pretty significant support level right around 2875. We can see that we've had some responses, if you will, from this level in the past, and we're essentially kind of coming back into this area. Yes, we have completely sank right through it before, but we've also pushed right beyond it, and then vice versa. So we're coming into this area where essentially it's somewhat of a key level on lower time frames and even on a higher time frame for that matter. So let's dive over real quick to the 89-minute time frame that I prefer to use, and we can see from this wave count that we're looking at. I've gone over this in several different videos. So I really just want to point towards the levels that we can get to. Now this 2804 is right in line with that 2800 level that we're talking about for the setup phase. Now we do have some liquidity pockets that sit just beneath that inside those levels. I'll go ahead and add that on so we can see what those look like. And see, we have some liquidity clusters that sit right inside this area. A good amount of volume that actually sits right over here, about 95%. That puts us right around 2790. So again, with the same thesis, seeing a wick into these areas, would not be surprised of us seeing a wick down into 2800s, 2790s inside of that realm, and then pulling back up, essentially just liquidating this entire area right over here. Now I'm going to go back down to even lower time frames. We have New York open here in the next hour. It's something that I'm going to be paying attention to, especially for this move. We can see that we're really just sandwiched in between these levels right over here. You have that's sitting right inside of this zone. And then obviously we have some type of demand box that's occurring here inside of this level. Ultimately, both sides are going to provide liquidity for whichever way the move decides to go. I do want to point something back over on the weekly though, that I've been looking at from a trend perspective, and just kind of a recap on what I'm viewing here. I'm going to add on some additional indicators that I prefer to use, and we're going to go ahead and look at a cipher wave. And you see this green dot that has occurred, that is printed right over here. That usually, when we have a green dot, that's usually going to start pointing towards uprises, right? We're going to start seeing moves up, and just look left, because essentially that's what technical analysis is. It's processing and understanding past data. So if we look left and we have a red dot, we have a drop. We hit an all-time high here in this area, red dot printed, hence we have the drop. Go back left again, we have another green dot here in this area. Look where price action was. It hit a bottom low, and then we started to rise up. We just printed another green dot here inside this area. So that's giving me signs, letting me know that a good opportunity for us to start moving back up as well. Coupled with that, when we look at the directional imbalance index, which is right here below, we can see that when it's at 100%, typically side of that trend is leading. They're running into points of exhaustion. So coupled with that, the fact that we are printing a green dot, bears are getting a little tired here, make newer lows, but there's just not enough liquidity for them to get back into those zones. The trend is ultimately starting to become a little bit exhausted. And if we look at DMI is really, nobody's leading that dominance level, right? You have your DI negative that's below the baseline. Your DI positive is obviously beneath the baseline as well too. But in layman's terms, both sides are trying to fight for dominance right now. So that's on a higher time frame. That's essentially something that we're looking at. And then again, we come back over to the weekly and just kind of see what price action is doing. You don't actually have to use any indicators for that matter. You can actually just utilize just straight price action. Now, if we do get a rise up from a bullish perspective, we have all of this really to start clearing. And if we're going to go back over to an 89-minute, we have the ultimate target for us being around 3607 inside this area. I still consider these levels to be bearish retest levels. These are going to be like case scenarios. And if it goes higher, praise God, we're positioned for that. But I'm going to take you back over to a daily from that map, something that we've been discussing for some time now. These levels that we're looking at, tapped right into a 0.382 level, which is very common for a wave 4. But one of the characteristics of a wave 4, it typically likes to round trip both sides. These can become considered complex waves. So when we get into that 3607 area, we can see that wave 4 has a level right around 0.5 of 3689. So it's right inside that realm as well. So if we go back over to that 89-minute and we look at that count, it puts us well within that realm for a bearish retest for a wave 4. In order for us to get out of that, you got to get into those 3800s, hold those 3800s, and then go higher. I'm predicting, if you will, from a time zone perspective, I'm looking at roughly around the 21st of December of us potentially reaching into those 3607. Ultimately, really what happens here in the next hour, even going into Asia as well, is what's going to happen inside of this range right over here. We're inside this zone. Are we going to pump up and take this liquidity and start moving up a little bit higher and flip that zone? Or are we going to see a flush of this supply zone, this demand zone in the next couple of hours or so and get back into this 2800, possibly even the 2790 realms, and then pull back up? So just be diligent, be prepared. Hopefully this information has been serving you well. If you guys have any questions for me about the setups, feel free to reach out to me, shoot me a DM. If you're inside Discord, inside the War Room, I'll be discussing these things live as they occur, from impulses, low time frames, what have you. Outside of that, be profitable for the remainder of the week. Please be safe while you're out there. We're in a very tight range. This is going to be a scalper's paradise. If you're looking for swing positions, just let the move come to you. And outside of that, and above all, God bless you. I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.